Hello, welcome to another episode of Manga Monday. I am Jason Hahn, and today we're talking about Chainsaw Man, both the anime, which had episode 6 come out this week of the first season, and we're going to talk about the manga, chapter 111. If you're worried about Chainsaw Man spoilers for the manga, don't worry. We're going to start off talking about the anime, and we're gonna do our best not to spoil anything major for the manga. But go ahead and check in the description if you want to jump ahead to us talking about the manga, and kind of let you know where you're going to be safe to listen without things getting spoiled for you. But I am Jason Hahn, writer for ScreenRant.com and host of Manga Mondays. We talk about all kinds of great series, and today we're focusing on Chainsaw Man. Got a couple buddies to help me talk about it. Ben, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm Ben. I'm a writer for Screen Rant, writing for the comics and anime and manga section, and I've been really loving where Chainsaw's been going in this last arc. So excited to discuss.
Absolutely. The arc's going great. The anime's, I'd say, going even better. We got some pretty fun things to talk about. But we also got Steven. How you doing, man?
Hey, yeah, my name's Steven. Writing for the on Screen Rant, comics, manga, anime, and the interview section as well. But yeah, long time Chainsaw Man fan and really enjoying both the anime and the manga, which doesn't really happen that often for me. So
Yeah, right. They usually drop the ball with something for you. So, but glad to hear you guys are both enjoying it. I just watched the new episode last night, and I was expecting the Eternity Devil episode to last a lot longer, but I thought they did a really good job with it. I felt like them shifting the hallways and stuff like that were really cool. It gave me like Inception vibes, which I'm sure was on purpose, because they like to squeeze in as many like movie references as possible. Because the creative Chainsaw Man is just such a movie nerd that I love all the little things that they're throwing in there. But so we last episode we got to meet a lot of the sort of rookie devil hunters, and we started out with them realizing that they are stuck in endless loop of being on floor 8. I thought Power really shined in this episode. I mean, we really had a great time with Power in the anime, but this was kind of, I think, the part of the manga that I like really fell in love with her, just like on how like goofy she is and how she's instantly just like, I'm bored. You know what? I'm going to get a PhD. I'm going to get a Nobel Peace Prize. It's going to all lead to me taking over the world, and I'm going to raise taxes. I thought that was hilarious. Especially just how well the anime like paced it out. Like when Denji woke up from the nap, and Eye Patch Girl is just like giving him a lowdown of how everybody's doing, and she's like, oh, and Power's doing this, and then Power goes into a rant about raising taxes and becoming the prime minister, and Denji's just like, "Oh no, that's normal. That's just her doing her thing." He's like, "Oh, okay, we don't have to worry about that then." But yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the new anime episode, because I thought it was a pretty great adaptation. We have a new fan favorite character or fan most hated character. I'm not sure if there's a word for that, but
most polarizing character.
there we go. I like that.
Yeah, it's like yeah, Kobeni, like it's really weird because she's one of those characters, at least for me when I was reading the manga, like she was just there in the background, and I kind of just thought of her as, scared girl, or the girl who's always scared. And it seems like, and we were talking about this earlier, before this podcast episode, but a lot of people on Twitter are very torn between her, because it seems like it's a combination of everyone who was reading the manga was hyping her up as her going to destroy, like, break the internet once this episode came out, and then obviously the internet not breaking when it happens. So then there's a lot of the anime guys going, wait, I hate her character, she's not that great. I mean, because it's weird, and I might be like giving credence to things that aren't really true, but there are some people who are saying that her character is supposed to be funny, and I never got that from her. Like, I just saw her as a very realistic character who would be freaking out, like because we would all be freaking out in that type of situation, and
Yeah.
she's in that because he didn't even want to be a devil hunter. She's only there to bring her brother through school. Like she's just a normal person,
And that's what makes her funny. Like I think she is supposed to be a funny character because
really.
that's the role that she plays in the story at a couple different points. Maybe not necessarily in this arc yet, but when I heard Minnow say, oh yeah, Kobeni tried to drink toilet water, so I knocked her out. I don't know how you can't laugh at that line.
There is
So
that.
I think she is largely supposed to be sort of comic relief, but I also think that up until this point, she's not really done anything to endear to people, right? Like,
Right.
her main thing this arc was like trying to stab both Power and Denji, which is not going to endear to many people.
Right. She's not going to get fans with that.
Yeah, and I could definitely see people being like, "Ugh, she's so pathetic and stuff," which, she is, but that's the point, right?
Right.
Like, she's supposed to be pathetic because, as you said, that's how a real person would react in this sort of extreme situation.
I mean,
I kept seeing the headline, more useless than Sakura. I'm like, oh, jeez.
I think factually may be true, yeah, but
No.
I think that the story actually does better with her overall than Sakura. But again, this is manga readers hyping things up and changing the perception of the character, I think, largely. Like,
absolutely. And without ruining things, like, I don't think you're about to ruin anything. But
no, I'm not going to spoil anything
Yeah,
that happens to Kobeni, but, like...
I think it's a really weird character for fans to hype up. Like,
I know, exactly. That's what I was so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just people being, like, just watching something and being like, oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, I can't wait for you to reach this part. And it's like, well, that wasn't really anything big. And it's like, oh, well, you think it's not anything big now, but just wait. And then it'll be really big in like 100 episodes. And it's like, well, why do you say that? It tells me that this, I mean, I don't know. It's just a very annoying thing that manga's readers do. And I think they've been doing it the entire season, honestly, because I'm one of the people who... I think Chainsaw Man takes a while to actually get good. Even though the anime has been killing it. Like, if this is how they adapt the parts of the series that I view as sort of like the weaker parts, I can't wait for them to get to the parts that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I think that, like, manga readers are really changing the perception of this anime a lot.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like that's
kind of unfortunate for anime only.
It is unfortunate. I think that's something that has happened forever. I mean, as soon as you have like a new anime coming out of something that's somewhat popular, because there's several series that I haven't read or watched, but still on Reddit I'll be like, oh man, anime onlys aren't prepared for next week's episode. Just like, just let them enjoy it. Like, everyone's gonna have their own perception of it, and that is very apparent here with Kobeni here. But yeah, it's such an odd character for people to hype up. Like, I can think of quite a few characters that I'm more hyped to see than Kobeni, and I won't get into them right now. But
I mean, honestly, I was more hyped to see Himeno and Arai than Kobeni.
Really?
Because, yeah. So, I mean, I think Kobeni is the least hyped of the three devil hunters there, but I guess she is a fan favorite because she is like the most realistic sort of character. So,
I mean, at least for me, I mean, in this episode really brought it up, which is why I've been having trouble grasping her as a funny character, is that her fear makes her highly irrational. Because of the whole stabbing thing. I mean, it just like brings everything to perspective. I mean, because normally in these type of situations, you would have someone clear-headed, like, Denji, which is weird saying clear-headed for him, but it's just like, either, I'm going to get killed or not. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm, because he ends up, jumping into the
eternity. Yeah, the eternity.
Yeah, he's completely fine with it. He's like, I'm just going to go for it. If I die, I die.
Looked incredible, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, of course, the anime is just, blowing the animation out of the water, but the whole like Denji diving into the abyss and just like sort of falling into the infinity symbol, like it was really cool, and it was just. I know Mappa did the Jujutsu Kaisen anime as well, and there's a lot of visuals in this episode that I was just like, oh man, this feels like I'm watching an episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, which I know before the podcast was rolling, we were kind of just chatting a little bit, and the people hyping, we were talking about manga readers hyping up Chainsaw Man so much, and I think that there is some warrant there. But so many people out there, I think what Ben says is like hyping it up like the next like Attack on Titan or the next like a Full Metal Alchemist sort of thing, where it's going to destroy the internet. It's such a big deal and so beloved, and I'd really say this is more of a comparison with Jujutsu Kaisen, because I think when that just like when that anime came out, it successfully develops this whole other world. We have these interesting like power dynamics and stuff like that. I that's kind of where I'm comparing the Chainsaw Man anime to right now. I think it can. I think it's already gotten to that level that Jujutsu Kaisen has hit. Maybe even a little, maybe not quite, because I can think of a few moments that people are still like, "Oh man, this is so good" with JJK. The series are very different the more we get into them, but I think it's a pretty fair comparison to put this up there with JJK. I don't know about saying it's the next Attack on Titan, that sort of thing. We'll see as time develops. There's definitely a few arcs later in the series that I think will be very shocking and cool to see people's reactions, but we're not there yet.
I mean, I think the next episode, honestly, will be very shocking and cool. I'm very excited to see people's reactions, particularly to one scene in particular.
Ooh, yeah. Depends how much this next episode adapts, because we have some pretty crazy things just around the corner.
I think it will adapt up to the point where I'm really anticipating people.
It'd be a great cliffhanger.
Well, I'm not sure they'll end on the cliffhanger for this, but I mean, I don't know. I've been waiting for them to adapt one scene in particular the entire time, and I think it's coming next episode, so I'm just very happy.
All right.
And when we get into the manga part, I can say what that scene is, but
yeah, absolutely. If you can't wait, feel free to check in the description and see at what point we start talking about the manga. But just kind of going over in my mentally going through everything else that happened in this episode. I get the Kobani hate, but I mean, I've been hangry before, and I haven't been hangry while stuck in like a life and death situation with an eternity devil. So I mean, I understand the frustration that Kobani had, and everybody else who was freaking out. Like any rational minded person in our world would probably react the same way. So I get it. I think people are hating on it too much, but hey, that's kind of what the internet likes to do. So. But what else about Chainsaw Man episode 6 stood out for you guys?
Well, two things that I want to mention. One, Power eating all the food and blaming it on Denji.
Again.
Perfect. Loved it. And two, I think Aki throwing himself in front of the knife was a really, really great moment for his character. Because, I mean, up until this point, he's sort of been... I'm not sure he's necessarily unlikable, but, like, episode 2, when we first meet him, he sort of, like, beats Denji up and is like, stay away from Makima. And that's not necessarily something that will endear him to viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, he's had some good moments since then. Like, he hasn't really done anything to sort of make him a likable character yet. And I think this is, like, one of the first steps to doing that.
Yeah.
Where, he does what a typical shonen protagonist would do, honestly. Throwing himself in front of an attack meant for an ally. And being like, no, I gotta protect him. And, that's That's something like you'd see like Deku do from My Hero,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and
Um,
I love Denji's reaction to it too. He's like, I didn't ask you to do that. Man, you're an asshole.
yeah,
uh, but yeah, it definitely, I think it is the first time because so far he's just been kind of that character that's just like, all right, well, I guess I have to do these things. I don't want to, but I guess I'll do it. And yeah, it was like the first kind of endearing thing he's done for somebody else, I feel. And yeah, they did a good job with it, and I think that we also get the little tease of his sword in this, and I thought Eye Patch Girl like stopping him from
Yeah.
using it to save them because it like cuts off years of his life was an interesting choice because I mean, all right, well we all die in here, or Aki loses some years off of his life. But
well, there's the third option, right? You feed them Denji,
yes,
so she's going with that instead of the Aki years off his life option.
yeah, which honestly, like, if the devil didn't like shift everything and then have the elevator shaft situation happen, I think that they would have won. The Eternity Devil would have won. Because I mean, having Denji jump into the middle of it, you know, might not be the best situation for this devil, but
But you're telling me the Eternity Devil loses?
oh crap! No, I forgot. This isn't the first. This isn't the last episode of Chainsaw Man. Wait, is it? Oh man, this is a short. This is a short season, and
Yeah, I thought it was gonna really subvert expectations, like introducing this to this cast of characters who then all die this arc, and then we get the real protagonist of the series.
yeah, it was these characters and their deaths are what taught the real lesson to the main character that we're going to follow after this. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
my bad.
Jason from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th devil,
Yeah,
which is something that I hope that we eventually get in the series. Like, this is the Star Wars devil. Everybody who's afraid of Star Wars, or the Freddy Krueger devil, or something like that. But oh man, that'd be a licensing nightmare, especially in the states. So I don't think that'll ever happen. But yeah, we had another cool outro, and you know, it was a pretty good episode. We got to meet all kinds of new characters, and I'm hoping that they. Oh man, just thinking what happens next too. It's going to be so much more satisfying because I feel like the anime. Uh, I mean, it's kind of an eventual thing that's eventually going to, or that is of course going to happen with the anime. You get to hear their voices, you see them move, you just feel a little bit more attached to a lot of these characters compared to reading them in the manga. For me personally. So getting to see what this group has to do next is pretty exciting. I am excited for Chainsaw Man episode 7, and we'll definitely be talking about it on the podcast next week. But yeah, we also have an excellent chapter to talk about, and I'm also very excited to see what happens next week on that. But yeah, anything else about this anime episode before we start talking Chainsaw Man chapter 111?
hey, it's the last thing for me. I'll just say, since you brought up the outro, I enjoyed the song, but I feel like it couldn't compare to last week's outro, which just was way, way more compelling an exploration of the theme of like infinity than this one was.
I agree.
And yeah, this one was borrowing similar sort of visual cues, like the descending staircase and the MC Escher sort of impossible locations, but it just couldn't compare to last week's. So it was still good, but oh, we were spoiled last week.
Oh man,
Nothing is as good as Maximum the Hormone.
yeah,
Ah,
the maximum the hormone one's one of my favorites. I really like the power one as well. But I actually had my little brother come over the other day. He's 18, so he's not that little. But I introduced him to the anime, and before he left, we had watched like 3 or 4 episodes, and he was obsessed. So I got to rewatch that hormone outro, and it's so fun.
it's very good. I think the Hormone Outrone is easily the second best ending to the series. right after the ending we got last week.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, yeah, I think that'll do it for our discussion on episode 6 of Chainsaw Man's first season. So, yeah, welcome to the manga part of the Mega Manga Mondays Chainsaw Man discussion. Talk about chapter 111. Picked up right where we left off last time with Devil Yuko showing up at Asa's doorstep. And she previously said that, don't open the door. I might want to eat you because I'm a devil now. Boo, scary. And yeah, she opened the door anyway and just kind of had this, like this cute little interaction of just like, oh, I kind of want to eat you a little bit, but I'm going to turn around. I'm all bashful and shy. And, it was a really touching moment, I thought. And it kind of all came around with the shoes. Her literally saying like word for word the shoe thing was pretty heart touching and reminded me of some of there's a couple moments at the end of Naruto that some characters end up using like the same dialogue, but it just is a lot more impactful in a certain situation, and it really hit really hard, and I thought that this did a great job of that. And it just, it's one of those things that's just like, oh, this is so nice. Wait, this is too nice. Is something bad about to happen? And then it does. But that's jumping ahead to the end of the chapter a little bit. But just to kind of go on this Yoko, this conversation between these two young women, I really, really... And I've said it before in previous Chainsaw Man podcasts, I love Fujimoto's paneling. Sometimes he does it to help set the mood, and sometimes in this one, he kind of did it for some of the tension and suspense. And I'm talking about specifically page 5, when Yuko is talking about, like, oh, killing my neighbor and those people at school, I suck, and then it cuts to Asa being like, oh, Yuko, and just like her talking while now looking at her. And with Asa like yelling Yuko, that speech bubble is blocking her neck. So you can't see the tentacle wrapping around her neck at that moment. Which is why she yelled out Yuko. It's just like, hey, you're about to kill me. Please stop.
I interpreted that very differently. I interpreted that as she yelled Yuko and then Yuko grabbed her around the neck.
Oh, I thought it was the bubble was blocking that, because I was thinking that while Yuko is just like in her thoughts, her body is still kind of reacting what the Justice Devil wants to do. Is how I read it.
Well, the reason I interpreted the way I did was because she said Yuko before, like when Yuko was talking, and we clearly see that there's no tentacle around her neck. And then, so I interpreted it like that sort of trope where like, someone's speaking a lot and the other person says their name trying to get their attention, and they keep on speaking and stuff, so they like yell the name louder, and like this attracts notice. But I didn't really interpret it as like tentacle around her neck, because also she has a different sort of expression on her face when the tentacle is around her neck, too, in that panel. So I feel like it was more like a response to having her name yelled that made Yuko sort of like shoot out the tentacle. And then she was like, oh, my bad. But
possibly. I think both are valid. But yeah, I really like Yuko's like design here with the hoodie sweatshirt, which it gets ruined at the last panel. It's such a nice sweatshirt too. Just frustrating. But yeah, their conversation was super cute. They're laughing, and it's just one of those moments where you're like, this is too happy for Chainsaw Man. Like they don't have moments like this and then have something like that or something good happen afterwards. And sure enough, after Yuko reveals that she might have a relative who is a devil hunter that she might be able to go to. As soon as she said that, I was like, "You're this devil hunter is probably going to kill you, because you're going to show up looking like this, and they're going to be like, oh, you're dead now." But we didn't even get there. um, after Yuko takes off, we're seeing her jump away, and we get birds flying in the sky, which is definitely kind of an ominous thing. And then we get a shot of the city with a vroom sound effect, and we get a couple panels of a bunch of sleepy people. The one on the top, I kind of wrote this down. I was like, is that the girl that Denji rescued? Is that who
I
it was
believe
supposed to
so.
be?
Yes.
Okay. And then we get Asa, and then we get one of my favorite panels of this chapter is Denji just chilling with the dogs. He's got
Not just the dogs.
that's the thing. I didn't notice it when I first looked at it, but some people saying it on Reddit. That is the black head shaped thing supposed to be Naoya? Because
Naida, yeah.
yeah, when I first looked at it, I was just like, oh, it's just like a black dog butt. Like I've definitely had cats and dogs, and they just like to lay their butts wherever they want, wherever they're comfortable. But just getting to see Denji like passed out with drool coming out of his nose or out of his face, and dogs all around him, it felt so wholesome and nice. Because I think that was something that we didn't really have. We may have had a panel kind of teasing that Denji like inherited all of Makima's dogs, but I may have forgotten that. So
Yeah, no, in chapter 97 we see that he has all of her dogs and stuff. And the panel of him sleeping is a direct callback to a panel in chapter 97 where right after Pochita tells him like, be sure to give Naida lots of hugs to help fulfill the Control Devil's dreams. We see him cuddle with Naida in their sleep, and they're surrounded by dogs and stuff. So comparing that panel to this panel, it seems clear that it's sort of a callback to that, and it's great because it shows that Fujimoto hasn't just forgotten about Naida, or he's not just planning on ignoring her. Maybe he's just throwing that in for the fans who are complaining about not seeing Naida. But it shows that he's remembered her, and hopefully we'll get to see more of her in the future.
I think I'd be really surprised if we don't.
No.
But before I talk about that page turn though, there was one bit of dialogue during the conversation between Yuko and Asa that kind of stood out for me a little bit, and it was something that I'm not sure if the translation kind of just made it a little odd, but she's saying, "Don't make a contract with the Justice Devil like I did, Asa. They're at our school." You think they're referring, like, is the Justice Devil still at their school? Could it be the girl that Denji rescued?
Yes, and that's very interesting you brought that up, because that's one of my theories. I don't know if I should talk about it now or later, but based on who that Chainsaw Man shadow is at the end.
Sure.
If we haven't gotten there yet, we can wait if you want.
Oh no, we'll go ahead and get into it because I do want to talk about it. So the final page turn, we get the sleepy girl that got rescued. We got Asa. We got the sleepy Denji, the dogs, Naoya. And then we got a sleepy Yoko, but she's got some weird spots on her neck. And then you go ahead and turn that page, and you're like, those spots are blood because she's got a severed head. And well, the severed head is sitting on top of a building and saying, "Chainsaw Man?" We got a mysterious silhouette. Not so mysterious, but mysterious because we just saw Denji sleeping. So that kind of throws that throws a lot up into the loop of what we're looking at here, because what we're led to believe here is we've got Chainsaw Man holding Yuko's decapitated corpse, or it's not well, I don't know, wording's kind of, is decapitated corpse, is that how you guys would say that? Because I think decapitated
I guess
head,
so,
but
yeah, because decapitated means head removed, kind of. So.
yeah. Well, besides good grammar there, yeah, so we have her being held upside down, missing her head, blood everywhere, and the silhouette on the wall behind them is fully Chainsaw Man. but all we're seeing is the silhouette with the chainsaw out, the sharp teeth. We get the arm holding the body up, and the arms are all torn up like Denji's arms usually are when he reverts back and forth from having chainsaws shoot out of his arms and stuff. So a lot of speculation with one panel, because I mean we just saw Denji asleep. If it's not Chainsaw Man, if it's not really Denji, then we may have a copycat on our hands. We may have a devil that can shapeshift, or something like that. If it is really Chainsaw Man and Denji was asleep, then that's kind of more ammo for. And even if it's not him, if Asa finds out that Chainsaw Man killed Yuko, then that might start getting Asa to start working with Yoru a little bit more towards Operation Kill Chainsaw Man. But yeah, I don't know. Lots of very interesting theories here. Now that that's been revealed, I guess we can go back to her, bringing up that don't make a contract with the Justice Devil. They're at our school. I'm not sure. Can people make more than one contract with the devil or with devils?
That's a good question.
I think so. Yeah, because didn't Aki hold the Fox Devil and the Future Devil contract?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Well, anime spoilers. We're beyond that point
I
now.
mean, yeah.
So, I'm not reprimanding you. I'm just about to drop it. So anybody who's like, "Oh no, I forgot," full anime spoilers. Devil I thought died.
On bearing with us this far. Like.
Yeah, exactly. High five you. But yeah, I thought that the Fox Devil got killed. So that kind of left the opportunity for him to make another contract. But I could be wrong.
No, I think you might be right. Yeah. So maybe you can hold two, but I don't necessarily see a reason why you wouldn't be able to. I don't know.
Have multiple devil contracts.
Maybe we'll find out this part.
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, kind of going back to Steven's thought, I want to hear what you had on the Justice Devil is at their school.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking is that this, the shadow person is, well, okay, first I'll say there was an interesting theory that's not mine, where someone was saying that maybe this shadow is actually the Justice Devil, and that the Justice Devil, and because since Chainsaw Man or Denji has basically been the face of justice by destroying or killing all these devils, that the Justice Devil is now the embodiment of justice, and that takes the form of Denji as Chainsaw Man. That's one particular theory. One I'm thinking is that it's based on the fact that every person that we've seen so far who is contracted with the Justice Devil takes a different form. So they're not all the same. And because of that, and it seems like in some respects, each form that the person takes is kind of based on why they wanted to contract with the Justice Devil in the first place. Like, for example, the class president, I'm probably reading too much into it because I've been thinking about it a lot. But the class president, when they contracted with the Justice Devil, it was so that she could find a way to be able to live, happily ever after with, the teacher she was sleeping with. And the fact that she has numerous heads could be, like kind of like the personification of that, where like in order to find that, you need multiple selves. And then the second is that we find out in this chapter that Yuko actually made the contract with the Justice Devil not to, help Mitaka, as we were told. Like, she just said that was an excuse. It was actually so that she would be loved like Chainsaw Man, and so that she'd have more friends. So then that can maybe go to, you know, why she's hearing all of these, like everyone's thoughts, because you could use that to make people, you know, care about you. But see, but then it's interesting because then it's like, well, then why didn't she take the form of Chainsaw Man if she wanted to like make a contract with him for that reason? And it's kind of based on the fact that the Justice Devil might be making contracts with people based on their idea of justice, but it's warped. So it's kind of like a monkey paw effect, like kind of like be careful what you wish for type of thing. Like I'll grant you your wish or your justice, but it will be a twisted version of that. And so that's why like I'm thinking that the person who's there, the shadow, it it's maybe a student from the class that, you know, Yuko was trying to kill, and that she may have made the, or he or she made the contract with the belief that, you know, they want justice for what Yuko was doing. And we know that they know that it's Yuko because in the previous chapter we, you know, we saw those, like the that flashback or those panels where all the students are saying, oh yeah, did you hear like Yuko turn into a devil or something and she was killing everyone, like she's the one who was attacking us. So they made a contract with the Justice Devil to seek justice by killing Yuko. But so because the fact that Denji was the perfect opponent against Yuko, because, you know, her reading his mind didn't work because all he was thinking about was was, you know, revealing himself as Chainsaw Man, so that it would make sense for that person to take his form since Denji was the perfect one. So it's kind of like that monkey's paw type of thing. So basically, long story short, I don't know if I'm explaining it well enough, but that it's a person who made a contract with the Justice Devil from Yuko's class to kill Yuko. But I could be wrong.
Right. So I mean, but Yuko is supposed to be like housing the Justice Devil, right? So I think it'd be really strange if the Justice Devil like was working to kill the Justice Devil,
but we don't
another
really
vessel.
That's the thing, because we never really see the Justice Devil. Like we've seen, like people are saying they're making contracts with the Justice Devil, but there's no actual. We've never actually seen the Justice Devil. So and it seems like it's manifesting in a different way too. Because I mean, usually when
You've helped me with an epiphany.
Okay.
And I think this is all leading into what you're going with. I wonder, like, the girl who helped Yuko, like, oh, I want to help little sister, that kind of thing. Maybe that girl is the Justice Devil at the school, and
that's what I'm hoping.
These are like vessels.
I am actually hoping that she's not the Justice Devil and that the Justice Devil is someone else, because I want the girl who showed up to be one of the horsemen. But, you know, it could be. I do think that the theory that, you know, Justice Devil is giving out contracts just to people while having a different host, I 100% am on board with that. I think it's a really good theory. But I think, you know, I think they might even be the sort of major antagonist of these sort of preliminary arcs. As you know, they were the major antagonists in the first chapter, and now, you know, Asa's lost like their only friend to the Justice Devil. So it seems like they're going to keep wreaking havoc, and we might see a conflict between war and justice. Like, again, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking this whole like first arc is kind of building towards, and I'm interested to see how, you know, Chainsaw Man will have, you know, effect in that. But, you know, let's throw away the whole like, you know, this is obviously not Denji, not the real Chainsaw Man. What benefit could this thing have for killing Yuko then? Like, I do like the idea. No witnesses. Yeah. I do like the idea that, you know, Justice Devil, it has like a different host that hasn't been Yuko or the former class president, but they have some sort of big master plan that, you know, they're just essentially using all these people as chess pieces to get possibly War Devil and or Denji in the right place. But
I don't even know if it's necessarily that. I think it's just, they're
Oh, it
just
might
giving
not
out
be.
contracts at the school for their own. They might not even care about Chainsaw Man and War Devil, but
It's just so weird. Like something. I mean, I might have missed something, but every single time, like we've seen, or like someone who has contracted with the Justice Devil, like you would think that the Justice Devil would be inside, or like they have that type of relationship. But it's weird because like every time we've seen the Justice Devil, so or the person contracted with them die, like you would think that the Justice Devil would then die and be forced to create a fiend, because that's usually what they do, and if they don't, then they die and then they go back to hell. But it's like we keep on seeing the Justice Devil, or the fact that the Justice Devil is doing things without the Justice Devil dying. Like if you get, because like when the War Devil fought the contracted class president who was contracted with the Justice Devil, like she blew up. Like it basically literally blew up with a grenade. So then that should have been the end of the Justice Devil. But then somehow Yuko, like they bring back the Justice Devil by having Yuko make a contract with the Justice Devil. So it's like, why didn't the Justice Devil die from that?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then basically Denji basically killed the Justice Devil just recently, but now we hear Yuko saying that the Justice Devil's still out there. So it's like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah, this
like,
is a new thing for sure, because I forgot the whole fiend thing, but from my interpretation of all of it, I thought like as soon as the devil like truly dies, then yeah, they just get reincarnated back into hell, unless they are devoured by Chainsaw Man, then they are just done.
yeah, for that one, yeah.
So but yeah, there is that mystery of like why hasn't the Justice Devil had to go back to hell?
Yeah.
And I think that we'll be getting that explained, because that's definitely kind of countering a lot of what we've known previously throughout the series on how devils and the reincarnation thing works and stuff like that. What if it's a power devil, and she couldn't let go of her her thoughts of Chainsaw Man, so when she reincarnated she looks like this. Oh man, please bring her back.
What was funny though, like after watching the anime episode, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if she reincarnated as like someone who's rising to the prime minister? Like, because he says like, that's what I want to be. I was like, I bet in the manga she's
Oh
gonna
man,
come back and be running to be prime minister, because I completely forgot
that
about
would be
that.
great.
So it's like, what if she's coming back to be the prime minister? That would be silly.
that would be so good. I'm gonna be disappointed if that doesn't happen now.
I just be disappointed if there's no power. Like that's what.
There might not be. Maybe part 3.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
well, and that's like the whole thing. Like you guys were talking earlier about, whether that black head shape in that in that
Denji panel.
like it's like that has to be nice. like I
Yeah,
feel like it would just be so sad. Like if we have all these loose ends, and it's like that's why I was excited for Chainsaw Man to continue, like to see those stories conclude, or to see them continue. And like while this has been great, like the separate side story, it's like I want those stories to happen. Like so they can't just like be like, oh, I hope that Fujimoto's just like, I'm just gonna draw this head in there to make it seem like she's there, but she's not, because I'm moving on from that and this is a new story.
Mhm.
That would just make me really sad, and I would cry a lot.
think about how much it will subvert expectations.
God,
Yeah.
stop using those two words together. the
they would.
the writers of Game of Thrones have ruined those two words together forever for me. So stop. But yeah.
Well, when done well, a subversion can be good. But
Oh, of course, yeah. It's just all I think about now. Anytime I hear that,
Which Attack on Titan did well, going back on our earlier discussion. It was before before the podcast.
yeah.
Well, while we're talking about earlier discussions, I realized that I never mentioned the scene from the manga that I can't wait for the anime to adapt. So for
Yes.
closure and to make myself not a liar, I'll just put that in here now. It's the scene where Himeno throws up in Denji's mouth. Can't wait for that. I think it's coming next episode. Be very
Oh my
disappointed if it
God, you're
doesn't.
right.
that's what we're referencing.
Oh
I was
man,
trying
I
to
can't.
figure out,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what you were talking about. So like,
Ah.
what I can't wait for is the fact that like he's fighting. He's like the Eternity Devil for 3 days.
Oh, that'll be fun too. But
You want the
Oh,
pubic hair, I guess.
I was I thought you were talking about everyone getting gunned down,
that will also be fun. I'm excited for both of those things.
including
I really
Makima.
want to see how they adapt the barf scene and
Oh
people's
shit! Does the
reactions
gun
to it.
down thing happen right
Yeah,
after this?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
right
so.
after,
Oh,
right
shit.
after the dinner party. So I assume that the episode's gonna end with
The gun down.
gunning down.
Yeah,
people.
what a cliffhanger that would be. And I almost
Yeah.
realized last podcast we were like joking around about like, oh no, Makima dies. She doesn't become an important character later. And I was like, oh
Yeah, she
crap,
does.
she does kind of die. Like,
No, but that's part of the fun. They'll think we're joking, and then they'll see it happen and think we're serious, and then realize, oh wait, we were joking.
Yeah, exactly. There was
That's
just
why that's why I brought up when I was talking about the Devil Hunters. I was like, I was more excited to see Himeno and Arai because I wanted to imply that they will go on to do things, even though.
Oh damn,
as-
you're so
as we
clever, Ben.
know,
You're so
you
evil.
know,
You're evil. You're just like, how can I mess with these anime only viewers?
yeah, gotta keep them on their toes, you know. Lull them into a false sense of security.
Yeah, actually, earlier in the podcast when you were doing that and you gave like a maniacal laugh, I was just like, oh man, if that's like the best One Piece laugh I've heard from Ben. That's if he was a One Piece character, that would be his laugh.
Yeah, I'm happy that I have one. I like One Piece enough that
He
I
laughed.
should.
And he
But,
laughed.
But back to the manga chapter. There's one more thing that I want to ask you to, and that's do we think that Yuko is dead?
For the third time.
Yeah, that's why I bring it up because I mean I think that this could easily be her dying for real this time.
Well, yeah, third time's the charm.
Now, she did survive getting her head cut off before, and to be fair, that was the intervention of another devil and stuff. But what if that devil's intervention makes it so that she also survives this, and she's just like a disembodied head that the fake Chainsaw Man carries around or something?
You're actually,
or who knows?
You're actually bringing up what could possibly be a whole nother 20-minute conversation because, like, if it just kind of, I think it all depends on the identity of this not real, possibly real Chainsaw Devil, because that's the one thing we know about the Chainsaw Devil is that when they are killed and devoured by the Chainsaw Devil, they are completely erased. But with that whole, link to the Justice Devil is no longer, with Yuko, or we've had that shown throughout part 2 that the Justice Devil keeps on jumping between hosts. That's a thing. But if this is, some sort of copycat Chainsaw Devil, there stands to reason, like, what if it also has those powers? Which also brings up a whole nother thing with, like, War Devil. If this is, like, a copy of the Chainsaw Devil, like, maybe War Devil no longer needs to mess with Denji. Maybe this is another way that they can bring nukes back in. It just all depends on, obviously, the identity of this quote unquote imposter.
I forgot to mention this earlier. So yeah, so at Screen Rant, the manga lead Evan, he has a theory.
Shout out to Evan.
Yeah, that relates back to the whole thing from part 1, where Denji pulled off a part of he pulled Pochita out of him and basically made that into like a clone type of deal.
Yeah.
To defeat Makima, and he was wondering if it was basically it like obviously it's not that one that he pulled out because that version of him dies, like Makima like tears him up. But like, what if it's like the same thing, that if Denji did that at another point?
I wonder if that's something he can do, and maybe while he's sleeping, he does that. So then, that can go around and still kill devils. So
Yeah.
what if it is like still kind of Denji? It's just not. I wonder if it is still kind of Denji, or if it's
Become an
sort
Uber.
of him on like sleep mode. So it's just like going
Huh.
around doing things without thinking about it. Um, yeah. But
Yeah, again,
I'm
that's not
excited.
my theory. That's Evan's theory.
That's a
Evan,
good one. Thank you for that, Evan. We need to see if we can get him on one of these podcasts. Um, but yeah, that's another great theory. I'm really enjoying a lot of the theories we're coming up with here. Another thing I think we should speculate on too before we wrap things up, if we go back to the panel or the page where everybody's sleeping, why the focus on the girl that got rescued? Um, I almost feel like the only reason we would need to focus is if she happens to be, the next host of the devil, um, of the Justice Devil. There's just there's a focus on that, and I think we previously I had speculated that she may have seen Denji transform into Chainsaw Man, but I think on our last podcast where we talked about it, you guys kind of convinced me that that may have been obstructed. She maybe didn't see, but
I'm pretty ambivalent about it. Like it could be anything or
yeah,
either.
I feel like maybe even the shared sort of trauma of, well, quote unquote trauma, because I'm not sure that Asa probably feels some trauma from fighting Yuko, but maybe they'll connect, like, oh, you were the girl who also was attacked by the Justice's devil. Like, you want to talk about it? Like, can we support each other through this trauma or something? So she
yeah.
could come into the plot that way.
I could see it being
Um,
interesting where she's just like, I felt so helpless, so I'm gonna join the Devil Hunter group so that I can learn how to
yeah,
learn how to fight.
and one team is missing a member now,
Exactly.
so
We have openings.
that actually works out really well.
Devil Hunter Club has a lot of openings all of a sudden. So
Well, yeah, but also, Asa and Ishida's team, now
yes.
doesn't have Yuko.
Yeah, but yeah, we actually had somebody on our one of our normal commenters on the YouTube channel was saying that they got very emotional during this chapter, and I can see why. So I'm glad that thank you so much for commenting and letting us know your thoughts. Would love to hear more of them. So
Wait, what happened? Wait, what happened? I missed that.
oh, just we have I'm pulling it up now, but I believe it's a shout out to Mr. Normal. I want to get it right, so hold on a second. Stop pop ups. But yeah, we have a YouTube channel where we post all of the podcasts as well. So just really any way that you're listening to podcasts, feel free to reach out to us there. But in the comments section, yes, shout out to Mr. Regular. Thank you so much for listening to Manga Mondays and commenting so much. We love hearing your thoughts, but they're bawling their eyes out on this chapter of Chainsaw Man, and yeah, it got pretty heavy, especially with the shoe callback and stuff like that. I thought it was a really heartwarming chapter, especially after all the school drama, and I think it's just getting us primed to see what happens next. In the whole art of narrative flow. Very, very excited about next chapters and to learn more about this imposter, hopefully. But we'll see. But anything else on Chainsaw Man chapter 111 before we go into plugs and recommendations, gentlemen?
Well, responding to one Ben's question, you're asking like if you're asking us if we think that Yuko is dead. I'm kind of in the camp where I hope that she's finally gone, just because I feel like, so initially with her character, what I really liked was that before she became a psychopath, was she was really shown as like the tragic character. Like we were getting all those death flags because she was really connecting with Mitaka. We were both each other's first friends, so it's like, oh man, she has to die because then it'll be really sad. But then that whole dynamic was taken from us when she became a psycho, and the fact that we just had this scene here where basically they reconcile, they're able to laugh even over really grotesque things. It we got that back in that moment. So I want her to stay dead because it was so tragic that she died, and I feel like if we keep bringing her back, it will kind of negate, her future deaths.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a good send off for her because I mean we got the.
It's sad.
I mean, yeah, it's sad, but it's just narratively, it's probably the most impactful. Like, because I mean, her dying at the school would have left us with like, oh man, Yuko was kind of crazy. Girl, be crazy. And then we got that. This was the redemption for her. And if she's not dead and she comes back a fourth time, it kind of runs the risk of. Well, One Piece has changed lately with character deaths, but
Has it? I mean, we don't know what happened to two major characters.
Yeah, okay. In the last big arc, Oda wasn't afraid to have some characters die.
Some died for sure.
Some died, but it's just I feel like if Yuko comes back and isn't dead, it just runs the risk of like, all right, well, no characters are dead here. Like they'll come back.
Maybe it's just going to be like, because the first part, Fujimoto kills everyone dies. So now part 2 is about everyone not dying. Everyone's going to live.
Yeah,
that would be very funny and very Fujimoto.
I guess hopefully we'll find out in the next couple chapters. But definitely keep tuned in to Mega Manga Mondays chats on Chainsaw Man because we'll definitely be doing it again next week. Very, very excited for both the anime episode and the next chapter because I feel like this chapter was kind of a reset. Like we've been building up to the school situation for like the last. We've been building up to like the school situation for like the last few chapters and. Anxious to see where we're going from now. I mean, the school was destroyed, so I think they all have some time off. Well, I don't think we'll be jumping right back into the school. We'll see. But yeah, I think that'll wrap up Mega Manga Mondays chat on Chainsaw Man. Thank you so much for listening. Moving into plugs and recommendations, please check out other episodes of Mega Manga Mondays. We have a website, megamangamondays.podbean.com. We talk about other series like One Piece, Boruto, Dragon Ball Super. We even talk Jujutsu Kaisen sometimes. And My Hero Academia is kind of also at a pretty good spot right now. We kind of just agree and disagree with what the manga is currently doing, but the current season of the anime is awesome. So check those out if you're caught up on those series as well. But I, Jason Hahn, also have a YouTube series called Honzy and Friends. I like to stream on Wednesdays and Sundays, but exclusive information. Let's Play videos are on the way. I kind of started the channel by doing Let's Play videos with friends. We've played through Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. We even did some Metal Gear Solid 2, some hockey, Battlefield, all kinds of stuff. But we have some Dragon Ball Tenkaichi planned, some Return to Metal Gear Solid 2, lots of funny stuff. Please check it out, Honzy and Friends on YouTube. But Ben, any plugs or recommendations today, buddy?
Yeah, in terms of recommendations, today the second part of the Netflix animated show Inside Job actually released. And I think that this show sort of went under the radar when it was first released, and it's a shame because it's really, really fun. It's like, it's kind of, it's reminiscent of like an adult version of Gravity Falls, in my opinion. It's written by one of the same writers who was on Gravity Falls, and Alex Hirsch does some of the voices. And I mean, you could compare it more to Rick and Morty, but I think it's in that similar sort of vein where it's just following people working at the deep state who are trying to keep a bunch of conspiracies under wrap. And it's just very fun, endearing characters, and it's just a blast, so definitely check it out if you're a fan of adult animation. And in terms of plugs, I have a YouTube channel of my own called YGO From Zero, where I go over historical formats of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. So if that's something that's up your alley, be sure to check that out.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to have these plugs and recommendations in the description. So if you're curious, check those out and go ahead and click on those links. We'd really appreciate it if you supported our projects. But Steven, what you got today?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things Ben's recommendation reminded me of something, just getting new Netflix, season 2 type of things. I'm really hoping that Netflix will renew Dorohedoro, which is it was more like it was a sign-in manga that got an anime adaptation a little while ago, but it's hasn't received anything lately, and it's kind of sad. So, I mean, I would say watch it if you want, but you might get really sad because there won't be a season 2 adaptation, or it doesn't seem like there will be. So if you, I guess you could continue reading the manga if you like the first season of the anime.
I like how you start with the plug of like, hey, you should check this out, so then they make another one, but maybe don't because it'll make you sad.
And something that's kind of interesting, I've been following it, is the memorial edition of the Golden Age arc. So it's
Berserk.
So Berserk. It's basically taking the 3-film adaptation of the Golden Age arc and re-releasing it in TV show format, episode format. And we've been getting, some new scenes that weren't in the original trilogy. Like they added the campfire or bonfire of dreams scene, which is one of the pivotal moments in Berserk's Golden Age. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, if you didn't like the CGI of the 3 movies, it just probably piss you off since it's basically the same animation. They're just adding new things. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting watching what they'll do with it, and it keeps Berserk in the conversation. But yeah, that's it for recommendations. And as for plugs, I don't really have anything, except I have that one article that's kind of pissing people off where I'm comparing Boruto's character to Denji. So that's kind of a fun one.
Well, I hope you get many clicks on it, sir.
Now, is that pissing off Boruto fans or ChainsawMan fans?
Chainsaw.
Oh, okay. I figured that because I feel like Boruto fans will be like, wait, we're being compared to a good series?
Somebody's talking about us?
No, I mean, it's basically just, without getting too much into it, like how Denji's character changed so much, like in relation to, how he views, girls and relationships, like how that evolves, and how Boruto's character goes through something similar like that, except, with something completely different. But there's a lot, his character actually changes a lot, and his opinion of things alters drastically based on how other people perceive it and how he's been reacting to them in the series. So it's kind of a far-stretching comparison, but it's kind of a fun little look at how characters can change drastically within the series.
Well, yeah, to add to that, I think it's really interesting because you recently started rereading the Boruto series, and it kind of gives you a different perspective, and I'm thinking it'll do the same thing with Chainsaw Man, where, you're not reading it week to week. Reading it, and reading full arcs in their entirety can give you a different experience than reading it week to week. And I think it's very interesting that you're getting a whole nother read on Boruto's character and his journey, by being able to absorb more of the picture. So that sounds interesting.
It a lot more. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like Naruto quality, but it's still a really, I see it more as a really good series overall. I mean, Aida has made it better for obvious reasons, but I feel like I'm enjoying it a lot more, at least on my from my perspective. It's a lot better, more enjoyable this time around.
Awesome. Well, yeah, new chapter of Boruto is coming out pretty soon. We'll be doing a Mega Manga Monday discussion on that soon. But yeah, I think that'll wrap up this episode of Mega Manga Mondays. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you guys for your time and your opinions. Thought we had a lot of fun coming up with some pretty cool theories, and anxious to see which one of them's come out to be true, if any of them. But please tune in next week on Mega Manga Monday's Chainsaw Man discussion. And again, thank you, and I look forward to the next one.